All right, let's kick off this explainer by completely shattering our baseline assumptions about the physical world. I want you to just look around you right now. The floor you're standing on, the chair you're sitting in, even your own hands. They all feel incredibly solid, don't they? Well, what if I told you that this solidity is actually a total illusion? Today, we're diving deep into the energetic architecture of reality. We're going to explore the invisible forces that shape literally everything, from the vast universe itself all the way down to your daily emotions and everyday experiences.
To really set the stage, think about this mind-bending truth from the realm of quantum physics. What appears to be solid is actually 99.999999% empty space filled entirely with energy. Our sources use this scientific fact to prove that everything we consider a fixed, hard object is actually just a buzzing, dynamic field of vibrating energy. The physical world isn't made of static stuff at all. It's made of movement. It's just a continuous, pulsing frequency. And honestly, once you really understand that everything is energy, it completely changes how you interact with the world around you.
Okay, real quick, here's our roadmap for today. We're starting with the universal quantum pulse, then mapping out your emotional frequency chart. After that, we'll get into synchronicity and alignment, talk about how to navigate nervous system shifts, and finally, wrap things up with fueling your future self.
Let's jump right into Section 1, the universal quantum pulse, from the macro to the micro.
We really need to establish the fundamental nature of reality on a massive, universal scale before we can bring it down to how you personally experience it. To wrap our heads around this quantum pulse, the text suggests we look way back to an ancient concept called spanda. So, according to 8th century Kashmir Shaivism, spanda is this primordial pulsation or vibration of consciousness that literally gives rise to all manifestation. You can think of it like the ultimate cosmic heartbeat. And what's absolutely wild about this is how perfectly this ancient philosophical framework mirrors modern scientific models. I mean, they were describing a universe built on subtle vibratory movement centuries before quantum physicists discovered that particles arise as quantized excitations in a fundamental field.
So, the Spanda quantum field continuum model proposes that consciousness itself acts as a resonant interface. Just like the quantum vacuum is this dynamic continuum of fluctuations, your awareness acts as a vibrating field too. And this isn't just nice poetry. The sources propose a unified model where your consciousness and physical matter are basically just two sides of the exact same vibrating coin. They're totally interdependent expressions of one single pulsating reality.
Moving right along to Section 2, your emotional frequency chart. Let's map your internal state.
Okay, let's see how all this massive universal energy actually translates down into your everyday psychological experience. Because if everything is vibrating energy, then the argument here is that your emotions are simply different frequencies of that exact same energy. The source materials provide this fascinating mathematical breakdown of how we experience feelings. There's a striking contrast between heavy, low-frequency states, like shame down there at 20 Hz, and light, high-frequency states, like joy way up at 540 Hz. Shame feels like this suffocating heavy blanket, right? It's dense, it's slow, it's incredibly isolating. But as you move up that scale, pushing through fear and anger, the energy actually gets more active. And by the time you reach love, joy, and peace, the vibration is incredibly rapid, expansive, and just deeply connected to the world around you.
The absolute crucial takeaway here is that your emotions operate exactly like a radio station. Low-frequency emotions put out a weak, distorted signal, which makes life feel incredibly hard, blocked, and just unclear. But high-frequency emotions, they broadcast a super strong, clear signal full of possibilities and natural flow. So when you consciously practice gratitude or mindfulness, you aren't just, thinking positive thoughts. You are literally tuning your internal radio dial to a higher frequency, completely changing the broadcast you're sending out into the world.
Which brings us to Section 3, synchronicity and alignment. What happens when the internal meets the external?
Now we get to explore what actually happens to our external environment when we start consistently broadcasting that really strong, clear, high-frequency signal. Someone recently asked this amazing question on a popular psychology forum. Do synchronicities increase when you're doing life right? They were noticing that whenever they felt truly authentic and on the right path, these highly improbable but deeply meaningful coincidences just started clustering around them. It wasn't happening during crises, but during times of really profound internal alignment.
To answer this, we've got to look to the legendary psychiatrist Carl Jung.
Jungian psychology suggests that this isn't just random coincidence at all, but rather a deeply meaningful bridge between your conscious ego and the material world. Jung actually coined the term synchronicity to describe events that have zero causal relationship, yet somehow seem to be incredibly meaningfully related. It's almost as if your high vibrational internal state begins to act like a powerful magnet, naturally organizing the external world to reflect your own inner clarity.
The lived experiences of hundreds of forum users basically paint the exact same picture. The consensus is incredibly consistent across the board. People report that when they feel truly aligned and authentic, when their inner world is really harmonizing with their outer world, these synchronicities cluster around them like undeniable signposts. They start bumping into strange, repeating patterns and get this really distinct feeling of being in the groove. It's basically the universe's way of validating that your energy is vibrating at exactly the right frequency.
All right, into Section 4, Navigating Nervous System Shifts, the very physical reality of emotional growth. But hold on, shifting into these higher vibrations and experiencing these profound insights, it isn't always smooth sailing. Actually, it can be downright jarring. We have to zoom into the physical body to understand why. Whenever you experience a real breakthrough or a major shift in your emotional frequency, your nervous system has to physically reorder itself around this new realization. According to the texts, this carries a surge of intense physical energy that can feel honestly pretty uncomfortable. You might feel restless, edgy, or even experience a literal physical achiness radiating down your spine. This is literally just your body trying to digest and metabolize new high-frequency information. It's essentially an energetic growth spurt.
Now, the absolute worst thing you can do when this happens is try to fight the discomfort or numb it out. Instead, you can actually guide the energy through your body using this super actionable 4-step weaving practice. First up, simply notice and name the physical sensation without any judgment. Just acknowledge it. Second, gently move your body. Go take a walk, stretch a little, just keep that energy flowing. Third, step away and engage in a mindful distraction. And yes, going and treating yourself to a coffee absolutely counts here. Finally, check back in with yourself. Doing this essentially teaches your nervous system that it's safe to hold this new, higher frequency.
And finally, Section 5, Fueling Your Future Self, Grounding Your Energy.
Let's look at how you can anchor this energetic shift on a highly relatable, purely practical level every single day. And that starts with exactly what you're putting into your body. The source materials argue a fascinating point. You simply cannot sustain a high-frequency mind inside a low-frequency body. It just doesn't work. By mindfully consuming high-vibrational, plant-based whole foods, you are directly nourishing yourselves and elevating your physical energy. Leafy greens oxygenate your blood, nuts and seeds give you essential fats for brain function, fresh fruits combat oxidative stress. Eating these foods, especially while practicing mindful gratitude for the nourishment they give you, quite literally builds the physical architecture you need to sustain higher emotional vibrations.
But having this newly elevated high vibrational energy presents a really critical choice. You have effectively upgraded to version 2.0 of yourself. Now it is absolutely vital that you direct this newly elevated energy forward toward growth, rather than letting it drain backward into an endless cycle of analyzing unchangeable past regrets. Listen closely to this framing because it's brilliant. Regret is essentially love and care, directed at a memory that can no longer be changed. It's a leaky bucket. You have to take that exact same love and firmly redirect it forward toward the person you are actively becoming. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder as you step back into your day and decide where to direct your own vibration. Your energy right now in this physical reality is finite. It is limited. So will you spend it endlessly repairing the past, or will you raise your frequency, look forward, and start creating your future? The choice and the frequency is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me on this explainer of today's sources, and I'll catch you on the next one.